Good evening and welcome back to another edition of the myTsports podcast. I am your host, the one and only Thalen Thomar Taylor. It is another beautiful day down here in South Florida. We're talking about, what is this? This is April 11th. We're just about 9 days away from the New Year's. It's 77 degrees out. Things are looking real nice. There's a nice little cross breeze that's going through here, even though we can't feel it right now since we stuck in the studs. Like I said, we're 9 years away from the New Year's. The Chinese New Year's, that is. We got a Raging McGregor to talk about. We get this Mania magic that just happened this past Sunday. We get Tiger Woods, the draft. We get a shift in playoffs and a whole lot more. But you know what I say. Regardless of the time.
Take that.
And regardless of the weather.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
It's always a good time to talk some sports. So let's start talking. Woo! Back at it like a sports fanatic. You already know. We're not going to waste time. We're not going to waste time. What in the world is going on with Conor McGregor? Can somebody tell me this? Can any of you tell me this? Because last time I checked, Conor McGregor was supposed to be a UFC fighter, not a WWE superstar. But he has been the kind of guy to kind of say that he's wanted to change all of these. He wants to change the things that he do. He wants to make himself a little bit more versatile. Don't know what I'm talking about. Just this past week. This is the last time we spoke, folks. Right before the weekend hit. Conor McGregor went on a steroid rage. That's the only thing I can think about. Conor McGregor goes on some kind of weird rage. He's feeling disrespected about how UFC is technically treating a champion that hasn't defended or fought in 2 years. He's feeling disrespected by that. So much so that him, his boys, his entourage, his crew, his workout partners, his camp, whatever the heck you want to call it, they come out and they decided they want to basically destroy the place. When I mean destroy the place, I mean absolutely destroy the place. And the reason why I started off by saying I'm not sure if Conor McGregor wants to become a WWE superstar versus a UFC superstar at this point in time, because he comes out there with about 30 deep. Basically, if you're a WWE fan, it looks like when SmackDown was under siege or Raw was under siege. You know what I mean? This past Survivor Series. That's basically what it looked like. Conor McGregor came down to the Brooklyn Arena. Came out to the Barclays Arena in Brooklyn. You know, I mean, if you're going to do some gangster shit like that, you know what I mean? I guess you're going to have to do that in Brooklyn. So he comes in there. He grabs 30 of his boys. Him and 30 of his boys. And if you're watching on Facebook, I appreciate you. Just let you know, you should be really going to myTsports.net, myTsports.net, because you don't get the full audio. Like there's some music going on right now in the back of the building that you can't even hear. So I'm saying you can watch, but you ain't getting the full experience. So Conor McGregor, he jumps out and he stops a bus that has a bunch of UFC fighters on it. Two of these fighters are gonna be two of the fighters that are gonna be the contenders for the belt that he's being stripped for if they win this match. So they swarm the bus, him and his whole entire crew, and his whole entire entourage. They stop the guys that will be coming after his belt, technically. And they start lunging shit at the bus as Philadelphia is playing Milwaukee right now in a game that has all kinds of playoff implications. Philadelphia is winning 97-61, folks. Yes, we are talking about a 36-point lead for a game that, if Milwaukee loses, let's just say that they can fall to as low as possibly the 8th seed. Right now they're sitting in the 6th seed. We'll talk about that when we talk about football. When we talk about basketball, I mean. So Conor McGregor comes in there, starts lunging shit at the bus. Next thing you know, he picks up one of those guardrails, one of those metal guardrails. You know those things that kind of look like a bike rack, but the guardrail version of that. And he lunges that at the bus window. That obviously finally does the damage that I guess he was looking for. Finally did the amount of necessary damage for him to get over his raging binge that he was on. Goes through the window, and it shatters the window. There's a woman champion that's on the card that's supposed to be defending her named by Rose. She was shook up. But one of the gentlemen that was supposed to be fighting for Conor McGregor's belt or competing for a shot at his belt, Artem Lobov, he got glass in his face and when they said what happens when that glass busts, it was a bunch of glass dust. That got in some of the fighter's eyes. So, I'm sorry. No, they cut Michael Chiesa. He got cut. Now, because of his actions, because of Conor McGregor's actions, not only is the UFC not looking forward to doing business with him anytime soon, but he had members from his camp that was going to be on that fight card last night or this past weekend, and they got cut. Like his boy, who is ATM Lobov. Because Dana White basically said, if you're part of that group, I don't want anything to do with you. So the guy that got suspended, his opponent got paid. The guy that face got cut or got glass in his head, he's going to get, like, his opponent got paid because if he couldn't fight. So, like I said, I don't know what's going on with the dude. I don't know if he had a, like, it's really like the sign of like a steroid rage. But you understand, we call it a steroid rage because I think I want to. Let's not take that there. But I could say, but it's really because of his complexion. Why I call it a steroid rage? Because if he was a black dude, then we'd be calling it a steroid rage. We'll just call him like, oh, he just lost his cool and went thugged out. Like that. That's the difference. But we ain't gonna get too much more into that because, like I said, Conor McGregor's bugging over here acting like he wants to be a wrestling star when there are real wrestling stars out here doing work. Like I told you, WrestleMania just passed. That also happened this weekend. We had a really good weekend. Like, put it this way, this is a very good week in sports if you are a sports fan. April in general is pretty much a good time in sports. Like, this is just a very fun time period. The NHL playoffs are getting ready to start. We have the NBA playoffs getting ready to start. And even today, the very last day of the NBA season, where they have 12 games going on, there are tons of playoff implications all over the place. Seeds have not been locked up. Positions have not been held. I mean, literally, you could go from 3 to 8 in one shot. That is what's going on tonight. Well, let's talk about shots. Let's talk about real shots. Let's talk about the shots that were given last night or this past weekend in WWE during WrestleMania. We saw, for the first time, Ronda Rousey get her shot as she makes the conversion from UFC into WWE. Ronda Rousey got her shot as a wrestler as she took on Stephanie McMahon and Hunter Helmsley, Triple H, in a mixed tag team match. That, very honestly, you saw. Put it right out there. Saw Ronda Rousey and Kurt Angle winning. Not going to lie, WrestleMania had a very, 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 very good, interesting card on there. They did a bunch of things to promote their female wrestlers. They did a bunch of stuff to promote their international wrestlers. They did a bunch of stuff to highlight their superstars, period. That this is the stage for their superstars. There wasn't a lot of storyline. There wasn't a lot of talking anymore. Basically, this is a time for basically straight action. And we saw Ronda Rousey take on Stephanie McMahon in a match that I thought that had a lot more twists and turns than I thought they was gonna allow. They allowed for a lot more ups and downs, and not gonna lie, something that I really didn't notice, that they have allowed themselves to be a lot more rougher or more rough with Ronda Rousey because of the simple fact that I guess she's been a UFC fighter, and they know if like she's honestly taking a punch, and they know that listen that she can actually take a real punch and get back up, unlike some of the other WWE superstars out there. It's part of the reason why the main event was as brutal as it was, or has been as brutal as it been for the last couple of years. It's because of what you're able to do with the superstar that's involved. So Ronda Rousey ultimately forces Stephanie McMahon to tap out in the armbar. Stephanie McMahon overplays it this next week as basically a broken arm. As we've now seen, Ronda Rousey's modified version of her armbar. Now, the skill that she takes to get people in that armbar, how quickly she still uses that, still hasn't changed. But the way that she utilizes the armbar is completely different, because as you can see, there's no full extension of the armbar. They find a weird way to hold it to the side and pull it back, and that's the new armbar for her. You have to understand the difference. Apologize if I ruined something for you. Also, given a chance were Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn as they took on Shane McMahon and a returning Daniel Bryant. And they were getting an opportunity or a chance to keep their career, because if they lost, they were no longer to be WWE superstars. Well, obviously, you're not going to have two McMahons losing in one night. So in Daniel Bryan's return, we saw Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon become victorious over Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, as they now look for a home. And they've already attempted to go on Raw and fight for a job. Unfortunately, those two superstars that tend to be evenly matched were evenly matched that night, and it came to a draw. None of them got a contract. We're going to see how this story continues to grow. Also on the card, we saw The Miz defend his championship versus Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. Another match that, once again, coming into it, based off of all the things surrounding it, that they had The Miz promoting the fact that he is less than a month away, or just about a month away, from being the longest reigning intercontinental champion in WWE history. Publix Lemonade. You need to help me out with that sponsor, B. So with that being on the line, and also the Miz just having a baby, I kind of really thought that they were going to let Miz at least get through WrestleMania with the championship, because that's what was built around the storyline. But no. This was the night of new champions, of one of many new champions. Miz being the first one to lose his championship belt to Seth freaking Rollins, as Monday night becomes Monday Night Rollins, because obviously that is the highest ranked championship belt or solo belt that's on Monday Night Raw, since Brock Lesnar has been the champ and held it there for some time. He's always back and forth. So whoever has Intercontinental Champion belt is basically the top champion on the roster. That's the way that's looked at. So we saw Seth Rollins beat Miz in a triple threat match. We saw Alexis Bliss take on Nia Jax and lose her belt to Nia Jax. And I'm not going to lie, which was kind of a lackluster performance. I'm not going to lie. Nia Jax needs to become a little bit more dominant. Nia Jax needs to be the female Brock Lesnar of WWE. Basically, she needs to be picking these ladies up and giving them Samoa drop, like off the bat, just Samoa drop, Samoa drop, Samoa drop, or over the head toss, over the head toss, over the head toss, over the head toss. A fall away slam, fall away slam, fall away slam, until they can't take anymore. And then you know what? Samoan drop, bam, take it, give it a wrap. You need to start instead of just throwing your weight onto people, and you need to find a real way to really start dominating these people. But she still found a way to win. So Nia Jax is the new Raw's women champion. On top of that, we saw newly crowned U.S. champion Jinder Mahal defend his championship belt in a four-way match against. Sorry, I said that wrong. Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! As we're coming up on a break soon, so we can go ahead and highlight one of our many sponsors. One of our lovely sponsors. Oh, thank you guys for being out there for us. Actually, you know what? Let's go to that break right now, and we'll come back and talk some more WrestleMania, WWE, and some more sports. That and more on the Mighty Sports Podcast on myTsports.net. Stop trying to figure out what to do on a Friday again. Well, stop worrying and stop thinking and head down to Capone's nightclub in downtown Fort Lauderdale. This is where you'll find DJ Scepter mixing in the lounge room so you can start dancing and start drinking. And we understand some of you may be an introvert, so you may want to start drinking so you can start dancing. But regardless of what you do, you make sure you do it with DJ Scepter. That's every Friday from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Ladies, you bring your sexy. Fellas, you bring your swag. It's going down at Capone's. But wait, there's more. Trying to figure out what to do on a Wednesday? Yes, hump day? You'll find DJ Scepter at O'Malley's from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. That's right there on 441 between Coconut Creek and Royal Palm Boulevard. DJ Scepter plays everywhere that you want to be, whether that's a birthday, wedding, bar mitzvah, quinceanera, proms, corporate events, bachelor or bachelorette parties. DJ Scepter puts a royal touch on everything. And for reservations, just send a simple email to bookings@djscepter.com. That's BOOKINGS@djscepter.com. And we are back to the My T Sports Podcast. What's going on here? I'm just letting you guys know. I can't even see what you guys are talking about. I'm just letting you know. Just letting you know. Just letting you know. I'll catch up with you guys a little bit later. I know. Maybe I should have flipped the screen. Maybe I should have flipped the screen around. I guess I think I'll work on that next time. But what you can do is go on mytsports.net and you can catch it fully live. Or if you really want to interact with me, you could go to MixLR. That's the app. Go to MixLR, find me, My T Radio, and there's a simple way for us to interact. There's a chat built in right there. But look at this. I see you, Jay. I see you. I'm gonna check this out next commercial break. So, wait. You just told me what I just think you was talking about? Okay. So, as I get this corrected. So, Randy Orton was defending his belt in a fatal four-way against Bobby Roode, Jinder Mahal, and Rusev. And even this match had a ton of things attached to it. They've been highlighting Bobby Roode for some time now. You thought that he may have been the one that they wanted to continue to torch as United States champion. You had Rusev, that has been on a massive momentum lately. Just a huge wave. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but did you know that today was Rusev Day? Yeah. Like, check your calendars if you're unaware, but today is 100% Rusev Day. And with the fact that today's being Rusev Day being right around the corner from WrestleMania, actually, WrestleMania actually also fell on Rusev Day, if you want to be honest. So given those two factors, given that WrestleMania fell on Rusev Day and that today is Rusev Day, I just thought with a sandwich of Rusev Days, that you had to have given, that you was just going to give Rusev the championship. Randy Orton being one of your most storied champions, and obviously this is one of the belts that he hasn't held, so he finally got a chance to hold on to this belt. Let's, give him an opportunity to hold on for a while. But obviously, you have things being launched in Asia, and that is the only thing that I could think of that explains why Jinder Mahal won a championship belt in a match that involved Bobby Roode, Randy Orton, and Rusev on Rusev Day. We saw the Usos defend their belt against the Bludgeon Brothers and the New Day. And once again, we have new champions as the Bludgeon Brothers came through and put in work. Excuse me. The Bludgeon Brothers are your new tag team champions. The Bar defended their championship belts as well that night against Braun Strowman. And get this. Pardon me. Okay, we got a tickle in our throat that is not going away. We're gonna muscle through this. It's like 8 minutes left in this game between Philly and Milwaukee. Philly's still winning by 32 points. We had the Bar defending their championships against Braun Strowman and a partner that they did not quite know who was going to be at the time. Braun Strowman revealed his partner the night of WrestleMania. And he chose his partner by going into the crowd and choosing some random kid, most likely, to be his partner. And in Braun fashion, Braun dominated a tag team match against the Bar. Now, unfortunately for Braun Strowman, his tag team partner was still only 11 years old. So he kind of still has some school obligations that he had to fulfill. So Braun Strowman had to relinquish his title. I hope you guys have caught up. If you're not, I'm sorry, you get a spotlight milk right now. John Cena spent the better part of the month calling The Undertaker some of the most ungodly and unsightful names that one could imagine. And for a whole month, The Undertaker did not respond. It came to the point where WrestleMania came around, Undertaker had to respond. And while John Cena was sitting there in the stands, taking in WrestleMania as a fan, he got word from a referee that I guess Undertaker was in the building. Decided to call out The Undertaker again. Instead, he got the face of WWE, Elias, to come down. And he made short work of Elias. And as John Cena disappointingly walked back to the ramp, Undertaker made his appearance. And John Cena got his wish. And as the old saying goes, be careful what you wish for. That definitely applied here. Because The Undertaker made quick, light work of John Cena. To be honest with you, I can't remember the last time I've seen Undertaker win a match that fast against a known superstar. It may be his quickest match in WrestleMania history. You're going to have to go to the record books and get that one checked out. Charlotte Flair, the Queen Charlotte Flair, took on the Empress of Tomorrow, Sasuke. Asuka. Sorry. I'm over here thinking about Dragon Balls. Not Dragon Balls. Nine Tails. Naruto. Charlotte Flair took on Asuka. And Charlotte Flair, once again, had a belt to put on the line. At the same time, Asuka's been in WWE for over 2 years now. And she hadn't lost a match yet. So it was Charlotte Flair's belt versus Asuka's undefeated streak. They've had Asuka picked as the most talented woman to come into wrestling in a really long time. She does give you an uncanny and unpredictable style of fight, a style of wrestling. As it is funny to see her adopt that Asian style of butt attacks, though. That thing always just make me smile because if you're not an anime fan, then the Asian, then the female Asian butt attack thing is awkward to you. You're just over here like, oh my god, what is this thing that she's doing? But if you've kept up with the anime and the culture stuff, you realize that this is a real thing, and they're like, there's a whole sport behind this. Like they stand on like water logs and do like these butt attacks and hip thrusts. Like, yeah, you guys have to see what the things that are going over there. You think we do stuff to be entertained? Wow. Wow. Alright, they do some stuff that make your socks pop off. Well, Charlotte Flair definitely maintained her championship against Asuka as Asuka finally takes her first loss. AJ Styles. Actually, why don't I remember seeing the AJ Styles match? Actually, I don't remember seeing the Royal Rumble either. Or the Battle Royals. And wasn't Matt Hardy supposed to fight Bray Wyatt? Did I miss 2 hours of WrestleMania? What time did WrestleMania start this year? It better not have started at 5:30. I'm gonna have to watch. I watched from the beginning. I did. I remember clicking on that. But who knows? That app is weird sometimes. Listen, it's only $9.99 and it's wonderful and it's glorious. But sometimes those pay-per-view playbacks be kind of iffy. Did I mention I have no clue what happened with AJ Styles? But the main event of the night saw Brock Lesnar defend his title up against Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns, a guy that they've been for years putting up as the guy that is technically going to beat Brock Lesnar. They've been putting him up there for years. And I feel like with the Samoans, they try to treat the Samoans like Saiyans. It's like, hey, they get their butt whooped and they come back stronger. And hey, they get their butt whooped and they come back stronger. And hey, they get their butts whooped and they come back stronger. Because I just feel like they just keep letting Roman Reigns get pummeled enough times. They feel like, you know what? Eventually, when they give him his belt, that he would have been pummeled so many times by Brock Lesnar, he's not going to allow anybody else to pummel him again. And I mean anybody. Guys like Samoa Joe or Braun Strowman. Which, listen, they need to give Braun Strowman a second chance. Braun Strowman needs to go ahead and get that title. If he doesn't get that one, he needs to be in the Braun Strowman needs a belt. I'm sorry. Braun Strowman needs a belt. Well, we're going to talk no more wrestling today. When we come back from this next sponsor break, we're going to get into some basketball because I like me some B-balls, peoples. And things are crazy as Philadelphia is now up 122-86 over Milwaukee in a game that has playoff implications. That and more, the Mighty Sports Podcast, when we return.
Tootsie's Adult Entertainment Center, Multiverse Games, where you save more so you can play more.
Ah, that's what I was. And we are back. And thank you, Jay, for correcting me. My bad. The Conor McGregor incident we spoke about earlier, it was not the the guardrail that hit the bus that he threw through there. It was the hand truck. He threw a dolly. Big old metal hand truck is what he threw that broke the glass. Still some WWE ish. But thank you. Appreciate you. That's what I'm talking about. One hand wash the other, both wash the face. Always looking out for one another. You gotta invite me to your next event. So the NBA playoffs are about to begin. As we mentioned that tonight, we're talking about 12 games tonight. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of something I want to do. Since we got 12 games going on tonight, I want to see if I can get somebody on the line. Maybe next segment. So the NBA tonight has 12 games. 12 games going on. And at least 5 of them, 5 people have playoff implications. That's almost half. Now, mind you, I'm lying. 6 of them do. I missed one. So that is half. That is wholeheartedly half. I just saw the last one. Believe it or not, I looked over San Antonio Spurs and New Orleans. And the fact that they have the same record and they're both fighting for the 5 and 6 spot, or 7 spot, or the 8th spot, or the 4th spot, or the 3rd. Like, that's how close things are. So tonight we have Brooklyn taking on Boston. We have New York taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. We have Memphis taking on Oklahoma City. And we have the Clippers taking on. We have the LA Lakers taking on the Clippers. We have Houston taking on Sacramento. And for the most part, those are the games that don't matter. I mentioned one that matters a little bit. Memphis versus Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is still a 7th spot in the West, and they're still looking to possibly improve their position. And Russell Westbrook is also looking to get 16 rebounds. And the last time I heard before the half, he had 11. Before the half of the game I was watching, the Philadelphia game. So I'm assuming it's also the same half, basically as much in Oklahoma City game that was going on. But with the implications, games with actually some kind of playoff implications that are going to manage movement. We're talking about teams that can go all the way from the 3 spot to the 8th spot. Teams that can go all the way from the 4th spot to the 7th spot, 4th spot to the 8th spot. This is what we're talking about here. Toronto taking on Miami. Toronto's locked up, but for Miami, they're the 7th seed. This matters for them. You have Milwaukee taking on Philly, as we mentioned earlier. Milwaukee and Philly. Milwaukee has a record of 44-37. Philadelphia has a record of 51-30. Philadelphia wants to win because, hey, winning keeps them their 3rd spot. Losing can take them out of the number 3 spot or the top 4 spots in the NBA. And did you guys realize that Philadelphia is basically about to have their 52nd victory of the year? Yes, folks, 52nd victory of the year as they begin to regulate and percolate and start to see if they can make moves in these playoffs, because these playoffs, I don't know about you, but these playoffs are interesting to me. Put it this way, if nothing else changes, right? We have Toronto taking on Washington in the first round, right? We have Boston taking on Miami, Philadelphia taking on Milwaukee, and Cleveland taking on Indy. That's if nothing changes. Philadelphia and Cleveland are separated by 1 game. Half a game. 1 game. But as we already told you, Philadelphia's taking care of business. As we already know that Cleveland's going to take care of business against New York. That's why it's even more important for Philadelphia to win. Washington and Miami have the same record. And they're only one game ahead of Milwaukee and Indiana, who have the same record of 44-37. Washington and Miami has a record of 43-38. That's what's going on the West, in the East, I mean. In the West, we still got teams like Denver and Minnesota. As it looked like Markelle Fultz just did something maybe interesting, spectacular. What did he do? Markelle Fultz got an offensive... I don't know what he just did. Nobody cares. He's barely played 10 games. So we got teams like Denver and Minnesota. Denver, the 9th seed. Minnesota, the 8th seed. They both have a record of 46-35. And basically, they are playing for a win and in. Basically, whoever wins this game makes it into the playoffs. Today is a fun day to be an NBA fan. Also out there, number 3 Utah, with a record of 48-33, taking on number 4 Portland, who has the same exact record. Playoffs. And then there's also Washington, that's taking on Orlando. Washington team that's sitting at number 8. Number 8 that gets you a Toronto team. But they can move up. This is what we keep saying. They can move up. Take on Boston. A Boston team that has no Kyrie Irving, that has no Gordon Hayward, that for the second straight year is going to have to depend on all of their young stars, which, it's funny, we talked about this last week, or a couple weeks ago, that how initially we thought that, Kyrie Irving should have just shut it down for the rest of the season so that those young studs could get an opportunity to figure out how things are going to go with life without him when he doesn't see how the court shrinks and how to get their own shots up. And then it quickly made me realize, as I'm saying this, is that they already did this. They did this last year. Their young stars from last year all had to go through this last year when they didn't have Isaiah Thomas. The only people that aren't going through it this year are the young stars they got this year. So for the young stars, from last year, this is business as normal. This is routine for them. For them not to have their best point guard on the floor. For them to have to try to find a way to win and create without them. You keep doing this to them, and they're gonna find a way to break through this and break through this down the playoffs or the season. Longest win streak entering playoffs in NBA history. Philadelphia clinches the 3rd seed in the East with 16 straight wins. That's a franchise record. In the West, everything stays the same. You have Houston taking on Minnesota, Golden State taking on Oklahoma City, which, from what I hear, is not going to happen. With Oklahoma City winning their game, Oklahoma City is going to move up and possibly either take on between Utah or Portland. So Utah's supposed to be taking on San Antonio, and Portland's supposed to be taking on New Orleans. And once again, we are talking about there are no games separating Utah and Portland, the number 3 and number 4 seed. Between the 5th and the 8th seed, before I even get to the 5th and before I even get to the 8th seed, the 5th through the 7th seed have the same exact record. So there's no game separating them as well. And then separating them between the 8th seed is 1 game. That's how things are lined up in the NBA right now as we speak. And then we have these 12 games to determine who's going to be in the playoffs this weekend. Yes, folks, this weekend. By the time we come back, to talk sports, you know what's going to happen? We're going to be talking about the first round of the playoffs. We're going to be talking about teams being down 2-0, and if it's panic time, if they're going to be swept or not, without even giving the opposing team an opportunity to get back on their home court and defend their home court or play on their home court in front of their fans. We're not even going to allow that. We're going to get a bunch of 2-0 sweep talks. But man, these not going to be some good players. Utah being where they're at, being led by their rookie after losing Gordon Hayward, after Boston lost, because he went to Boston and Boston losing Gordon Hayward. Just look at that. Both teams without Gordon Hayward still managed to put up basically almost 50 wins. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Surprisingly to me, you see how low-key LeBron James managed to squeak out 50 wins for the season? Definitely needed these last 2 games to get it. And the fact that he was going to play the Knicks to have to get it, it was almost money in the bag. But LeBron James are going to end up sweeping the season series against the Knicks and record over 50 wins. Now, one team that isn't going to get their 50 wins for the first time in God knows how long outside of the lockout shortened season, the San Antonio Spurs. The best they can do right now is get to 48. So as people talk about all this imbalance, right? Let's talk about imbalance. As people keep saying that, oh, maybe we should have 1 through 8 seeding, or 1 through 16 seeding, 1 through 16 seeding. And normally they talk about this is because of how dominant the West is, and how dominant the West is. Oh, the West, if you let everybody in, then then they could put in 10 teams. Yeah, so what? You know how I see it? Cleveland, 50 plus wins. Philadelphia, 50 plus wins. Boston, 50 plus wins. Toronto can get 60 wins with a victory tonight over Miami. In the West, Golden State at 58, Houston at 65. Only 2 teams above 50 wins. So yeah, they have a few more teams that have a few more wins. But I don't know if it's that much better this year. And also normally, not only is the West normally a whole lot better, you also normally have a bunch of teams in the East that are making it into the playoffs that have a lower than 500 record. You don't have that this year. This year is maybe one of the few years I can remember in NBA history, in a very long time, where all of the teams, and I do mean all of them, all of the teams that are in the playoffs have an above 500 record. Every single last one of them. So, I'm not going to lie. Like, this is one of the few times I may be with LeBron James. And I have to say that I don't think they need to change a thing. I don't think that they need to change one thing when it comes to how they are handling the regular season, how they're handling the seeding of the playoffs. It should pretty much stay the way it is. It pretty much should remain a thing that's divided by conferences. Because I mean, listen, even though I don't want to have anything out there that also helps LeBron James become greater, but LeBron James is gonna go down having a whole bunch of conference championships because of this, and it's because he's made sure he's put together a bunch of super teams around him while he's done this. But it's kind of unnecessary. It really is. It's. I would say it'll be like taking free throws out of the game because all of a sudden a guy can't hit free throws and you're tired of the hack a Shaq rule or whatever rule they're applying these days. Like, just find a way and get better. But we're going to take a word from one of our sponsors, and when we come back, we're going to get to the last leg of our podcast. Guess what we get to talk about? Guess what we get to talk about?
It's 420 somewhere, and you should be prepared. And there's no better way to prepare like heading down to Smoky News, where you'll find all your smoking accessories from vapes, bongs, pipes, papers, incense, cleaners, and more. Just go to Smoky News at 1311 Southeast 17th Street, Fort Lauderdale, Florida 33316. Tell them MyT Radio sent you and receive a special in-store discount. It's not an include lottery or tobacco product. It's 420 somewhere, and you should be prepared. And there's no better way to prepare like heading down to Smoky News, where you'll find all your smoking accessories from vapes, bongs, pipes, papers, incense, cleaners, and more. Just go to Smoky News at 1311 Southeast 17th Street, Fort Lauderdale, Florida 33316. Tell them MyT Radio sent you and receive a special in-store discount. It's not going to include lottery or tobacco products.
We are back to the myTsports Podcast. I'm still your host, Alan Thomar Taylor. If you're still listening, that means you're listening to one of the many platforms that I'm hoping you are taking advantage of. Whether it's mytsports.net, that's mytsports.net, or mytradio.net. Or you could be on TuneIn Radio. And listen, even with this is even better. This is even better. You can tell TuneIn Radio or Alexa that you want to launch myT Radio under TuneIn, and bam, you have me right there in TuneIn Radio. Just saying. There's ways, B. I got ways. You go to the MixLR app directly, and also find me on the myT Radio. So, listen, I'm almost like DJ Seth. Anywhere you want to be, except for iTunes. I'm not on iTunes. Like, I'm not there. And I ain't on SoundCloud no more. You have to hit the website up. Like, I'm sorry, I can't keep pushing things to SoundCloud. Like, this is a good concept, but B, like, I got some own stuff to take care of. So, I do thank you for listening. So as you guys happen to know, right, there is a draft coming up. There's a huge, yo, what's good, B? You busy? Alright, so what's up? So, how you still feeling about them Jets?
What?
How you feeling about them Jets?
The Jets?
Yeah, man.
We'll find out in a couple of weeks.
So who you still rooting for? Who you want them to get who you want them to get as a quarterback? Who should they get with their number one pick? Just to let you know, kind of throwing this on you in surprise, but you are live on mytradio.net. You're live on the podcast right now.
That sounded funny, son.
So before we go any further, before we go any further, let me give you a proper introduction. This is my main man and tax aficionado, Al Torres. Before we start, tell the people where they can find you at, Al, to get their taxes done.
I'm located 441 Lauderdale Lakes, corner 44th Street, 2 blocks out the commercial. On 4397 North State Road 7, Lauderdale Liberty Tax Service. All
right, say that one more time, slower for the listeners. What's the address?
4397 North State Road 7, Lauderdale Lakes, Florida 33319.
What's the name of the business?
Liberty Tax Service.
And who do they need to ask for?
Ask for Al, Big Al.
There we go. Big Al with Liberty Tax Services. And also one of the biggest Jets fans I know. Like, I know I told you this surprisingly the other day. I know I sprung this on you. I told you, like, yo, between you and our friend Paparazzi, you guys are my Mel and Todd. You guys are just more aggressive.
You know, when you follow a team for so as long as I have, over 30 years, you have to be passionate about it.
True.
I'm ride or die. So, through mostly the bad times, right? Because we only had some successes here and there, but I think it's our time. I think it's gonna start with the selection of this quarterback, and I think we're gonna I think we do some good luck. With the Eagles winning the championship. They never had won a championship. They were green. We were green. I think that's gonna translate.
We're gonna end the decade in a flood of green.
Yeah, hell yeah. You know what I'm saying? Listen, at the end of the day, we got to make the right selection. I'm hoping we have some luck, but, my preference, it's a 24% crapshoot when it comes to first-round quarterbacks. That's the numbers. Numbers don't lie. But with the early success the last couple of years with Goff and Wentz and Deshaun Watson. Luck is gonna at some point, hit the Jets. So, I'm hoping that we make the right decision.
Okay, so if I have this everything correctly, they have us picking Rosen. Am I correct?
No, I think one of those. Or I'm hoping it's either Rosen or Mayfield. My preference is Mayfield, but I'd be happy with either one. Rosen or Mayfield. I mean, we don't know who's gonna potentially be there at 3. I know Mayfield will be there at 3. Allen can be there at 3. And Rosen can be there at 3. I don't expect Rosen to be there at 3. I think the Giants will end up taking him at 2, or the Broncos trading up at 2 to take Rosen.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna admit this. Regardless of who the Jets do take, so far they're at least setting them up for success, which they haven't done with their young wide receivers in the past. Outside of maybe Mark Sanchez in the very beginning, I can't remember the last time they've actually set one of their quarterbacks up for success. They're actually giving them some targets. They just recently signed Terrell Pryor. We just re-signed Anunwa, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And we don't know what we're doing with Robbie Anderson yet. but as of right now, we're bringing him back.
He'll probably get suspended 2 games.
Yeah.
But, he's there. But you got to remember, Tanner, we got 17 wide receivers right now. We drafted 2 kids last year. Hanson and...
Wait, hold on 1 second. I don't mean to cut you off. Because this is news to me. How many wide receivers do the Jets have?
17.
So how come we still can't find a receiver?
Listen, both receivers only needed 1,000 yards and McCown not got hurt. They were both having pretty good seasons. And matter of fact, both of them were talking about over 1,000 yards and 7+ touchdowns each, Curtis and Anderson. So I think, Anderson was close to 1,000. With McCown missing the last 3-4 games, and you saw how bad Pitts was. Couldn't even complete a freaking pass against Denver. I think they ran the ball 60 times in that game. So, they would have definitely, had that. You got Newell coming back, and then you got Terrell Pryor, and then you got the 2 kids. And then remember that Devin Smith coming back. I know he was a second-round bust based on injury.
Oh, the guy that's supposed to be able to take the top off of the offense for us.
Ohio State, he's coming back as well. So we'll see who makes the team. We have plenty of talent at the wide receiver position. That's the least of my worries. I think our biggest need is obviously we just got to get the right quarterback, right? Obviously a pass rusher, and some depth on the line. Possibly a left tackle and a guard. In the draft. But I think we can get that in the draft. But the number one thing is we need a quarterback.
Okay, so before.
And why not get the most accurate quarterback in the history of college football and Baker Mayfield?
Wait, hold on, 1 second. Hold on. See, this is why I have to come back to you again. I have to come back. I keep telling you guys, can you hear me still clearly?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I keep telling you guys are basically my Mel and my Todd. Baker Mayfield, the walk-on from Oklahoma, the guy that walked on Texas Tech, the guy that walked on to Oklahoma, the guy that's under 6 feet tall that they're gonna make every excuse of because of his height to not pick. You're telling me he is the most accurate quarterback in NFL in college football history?
Look at his stats. His stats doesn't lie. He completed 70% of his passes last year, and route to winning the Heisman Trophy. I mean, the guys, the stats. I mean, what did he do? 43 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. It's ridiculous, man.
Now, between me and you, that's the guy that I like. Not for nothing.
Yeah.
That's the guy that I really like.
And by the way, he's not under 6'1". He's taller than Russell Wilson, by the way.
Is he? Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay. See, that's the guy that I like. And like I said, I don't watch enough college football.
He's 1 inch shorter than Aaron Rodgers, by the way.
Wait, whoa. Only 1 inch short. So for all of the mess that they talk about his height, he is only.
They don't like him because he's cocky, and obviously, he had some incident with the police. I think he ran away from the police, and then grabbing his crotch on national TV. So of course they're not going to like that, you know, especially at the face of a franchise. So of course they're going to scrutinize him. You know, you see how they're pushing the narrative on Josh Allen, who's what 6'4", 240, but he can hit the ocean. He's like completed 55% in Wyoming. 55% of his passes in Wyoming. I mean, you don't have any NFL caliber talent on that division. What is that, Division II?
Yeah, but you know what? The one thing that they said to justify it, though, is that isn't that the same guy that the only one out of all that was playing in a pro offense?
I don't know how you can call that pro.
True.
Whatever pro. What
But
offense
but
you're
but
talking
also,
about.
if you wanted a pro offense,
I think what he has 16 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. You call that pro offense? I mean, I don't know. You know, more and more offensive coordinators are going to the RPO system, run pass option, right? What they did with Jared Goff, even with you saw what Deshaun Watson was doing before he got hurt. So they all are having elements of the college game into the pro system. So I don't know what the hell they're talking about.
but yeah, for the people that don't know about Baker Mayfield, the one thing that's caught my, like I said, without watching enough of his games, without knowing anything about him, without seeing what he's done out there, we're just hearing the splashes here and there throughout the season. There was only one thing that has definitely consistently stuck out about me to him, and it's how I introduce him: the walk on to Texas Tech, the walk on to Oklahoma University. Now, once again, I don't know who the quarterbacks were on these teams, but I know there were some significant quarterbacks on these teams that he walked on to. You know, and he walked on.
He wasn't highly recruited. That's why he has a chip on his shoulder, because he wanted to go to, I think, Florida Atlantic. His father said, no, why are you selling yourself short? He wasn't highly recruited coming out of a very good Texas high school. I think, you know, top-rated high school. Because of his height, he's always been denied his you know, his due, because he was always on the short side of 6'3", 6'4", 6'5". So he never got those college scholarships that he deserved, or he thought he deserved to go. So he ended up wanting to go. Actually, I read an article where he wanted to go to a Florida school. His father said, no, I want you to go to a big major school. So he ended up walking on to Texas Tech. Ended up starting his freshman year, and then he got hurt, and then they got Davis Webb. They gave Davis Webb the job, the current quarterback that got drafted last year by the Giants. So he ended up transferring to Oklahoma, redshirted that 1 year because he couldn't, you know, with the transfer rules, he had to wait 1 year. Then he walked on that and started for the next 3 years. And I think he threw something ridiculous like 40,000 yards. I don't know, you know, 20,000 yards and 119 touchdowns and 13 interceptions, something ridiculous like that.
No, he's impressive. He's impressive, and the quarterback game is such a crapshoot. That's the scary thing about it. The quarterback game is such a crapshoot that.
Yeah, but listen, you know what passes the eye test, right? You know, if
Yeah.
a guy's productive in college, as long as it's not the air raid system. And a lot of people want to compare Oklahoma to the air raid system, where you just throw, you know, they just have one read and they just throw the football down the field, and it's usually wide open receivers. You know, that wasn't the case with Baker Mayfield's offense. You know, he had some pro style elements to that game, especially the RPO system, which they currently utilizing in the NFL. I mean, I'm not the guru that watches tape and all that other stuff. You know, I just hear that from the other gurus that actually watch that tape. But, you know, that's how I get my information from. But, you know, just by watching, you know, knowing that the Jets needed a quarterback, I watched the Mason Rudolphs, the Lamar Jacksons, the Baker Mayfields, the Josh Rosens, and the Sam Donalds. And for me, he stuck out the most because he produced at a high level the entire year. And, you know, he has that it factor to me. And, you know, you need that type of character on a New York team, especially with the media. When you have 16 newspapers, you know, always goading the Jets. You know how the Jets is like the little brother to the Giants?
Yes.
You know, you have a national channel just to use the Jets as a joke because they're a whole bunch of Patriots fans anyway.
That is true. Well, thank you for at least convincing me that if the Jets don't get Baker Mayfield, I'm gonna be disappointed. Cause that's what I'm
No, I
at.
think it's going to happen. I think. Listen, I think it's inevitable. I think the Giants be stupid to pass up on a franchise quarterback to select a running back. A running back you could get in the second or third round. Look at the two kids that were drafted in the third round last year. The
Cunt
rookie of the
and
year last year was Alvin Kamara.
yeah, Cunt and
He
Kamara.
was drafted in the third round. As much as I like Barkley, and he grew up as a Jets fan, you gotta go get your quarterback, bro. You gotta get a. Manning's 37 years old, so even if they don't select the quarterback there, they still can get trouble. Barkley at 5, and Broncos need a quarterback. I mean, they signed Case Keenum for 2 years, so I mean, they'd be stupid not to select the quarterback as well. So I think my prediction is Donald goes first, Rose in second, and Mayfield third.
All right. So then convince me that the Jets have the staff necessary to develop quarterbacks then.
Yeah, Jeremy Bates, Shanahan system, named an offensive coordinator. I think he probably ends up being the head coach of the Jets next year. After Bose gets fired.
Whoa! Hot take! You saying that Bose out the door next year? Like,
Yeah, he's not a head coach. He's a defensive coordinator.
that is true.
He hasn't lived up to what I was expecting out of him and running the team.
Oh, this is only his third year, fourth year. He eventually he's gonna have to learn like he's not adjusting right. Like that's one thing that we keep seeing. He's not learning how to adjust fast enough on the fly.
He just doesn't have enough fire for me. I mean, he just sits there, stoic look, try to be the black version of Bill Belichick. Dude, you're not Bill Belichick. Put a light of fire up in your team's ass when they're not doing well.
He does try to
just
come
don't.
across a little Belichickian.
Yeah, he's just trying to be too stoic on the sidelines, never making second half adjustments. Special teams been terrible for the past 3 years. And I know you lack talent, but at the end of the day, you got to get these people to play, man. I know the first year we got lucky, we went 10-6, didn't make the playoffs, but the last 2 years have been terrible.
Yeah. Well, Al, I thank you for your time. This is the end of the show, but before we go, I'll let you go. Not only am I gonna come see you tomorrow early. What time you shop? What time does the shop open tomorrow? The store open.
11 a.m., 11 to 9.
Oh, you open 11? Oh, okay, then I won't see you tomorrow then. It won't be that early. Again, I'll be at work already. But at least tell the people once again, before we get out of here, where they can find you at, numbers, everything. Get them in.
Yeah, 4397 North State Road 7, Lauderdale Lakes, corner 44th Street, 3 blocks south of Commercial. It's on 441. Phone number is 954-484-7700. Come get your $50. When you come and file your taxes, once it's completed, we give you $50 in cash.
Just tell them myTsports send you. And also, it's Liberty Tax. Don't forget to tell the people it says Liberty Tax. It's a big sign that says Liberty Tax. You can't miss it. You can see it from the street. I love the improvements on the sign. I saw it today. I was like, so much better. I can see this from a block away now. All right, Al.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. You have a good one. Until next time. There we go. That's Al Torres with Liberty Tax. And I'm one of the biggest Jets fans that I know. I try to get my Todd, my other draft person out there to come and talk on the show, but unfortunately, he has a couple of superstitions. And he doesn't want to talk. He didn't want to sit here and talk, but listen, one of the things, and I'll share one of the things that I knew that he was going to talk about, and I was hoping he was going to come on the air and talk about, maybe we could still get him to talk about, is that Rosen has a history of concussions that, for some odd reason, keeps getting overlooked, or you don't hear enough about. I wonder where those red flags are at. Listen, I want Baker Mayfield, just like I think most Jets fans want Baker Mayfield. Listen, I don't believe in jinxing things. I believe in putting enough positive energy out there into the world that we are going to attract the walk on to Texas Tech, the walk on to OU, Baker Mayfield, and he's gonna come out there and he's gonna light up Broadway. This is the Mighty Sports Podcast. I am your host, Alan Thomar Taylor. We are out of here. Thank you for listening. Stay blessed, or stay tuned, stay blessed, and don't stress. Thank you. Well, we're still here. Things are frozen. My Sports Podcast. Talent Thomar Taylor. myTsports.net or mytradio.net. We're still trying to get you back to your regularly scheduled program. Oh, that works.
Danger zone.
That works. Oh, I know what just happened. My bad. We're out of here. We have no outro today. The outro doesn't exist. The outro doesn't even like me today. Like that's the kind of show that we're having today. You guys see it. You guys hear it. I found a use for you. I found a good use for you. Man, we made progress today. We had a good show. I'm happy. You guys should be happy about my happiness. We're just gonna wing it. We'll keep winging the end of the show until we get to the point of the show where I'm like, hey, guess what? I finally said all I can say. I finally, installed all I can install. And I finally found what I needed to find. And we're finally ending the show with the piece of element that I was looking for. Because for some odd reason, things got a little out of hand, got a little whacked, got a little turned around. But, we're here now. We're here, we're there. And everything is all fair. Show's ended. Goodbye. Back to your regularly scheduled program after this.
Sorry, boy.
I gotta cut you too.
Lay down. Always knew I'd make a stop there. But a lot later than a whole gang of people thought. Last call for drinks. Bars closing down. Sun's out. Where we going for breakfast? Don't want to go far. Rough night. Tired, baby. Tired.
My tea! And now back to your regularly scheduled program.